Welcome to Business Problem Solvers Podcast, where legal insight meets entrepreneurial innovation. Are you a startup founder navigating the complex legal landscape of entrepreneurship? Are you seeking practical advice, actionable strategies, and expert guidance to propel your business forward? Look no further. Eric Alspaugh is a seasoned attorney based in the vibrant startup hub of California, and he's thrilled to be your host on this exciting journey. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the intersection of law and business, bringing you insightful interviews with a diverse range of industry experts, thought leaders, and successful entrepreneurs. From intellectual property and contract law to corporate governance and regulatory compliance, we'll cover the essential legal topics that every startup needs to know. Our guests will share their wisdom, experience, and practical tips to help you navigate legal challenges, seize opportunities, and build a thriving business in today's dynamic marketplace. So whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a budding startup founder, or simply curious about the intersection of law and business, join Eric on Business Problem Solvers Podcast as we explore the legal insights and entrepreneurial inspiration that will fuel your journey to success.
All right, welcome to our first episode ever of the Business Problem Solvers. I'm thrilled to introduce my good friend of more than a decade, Philip Topham. Thank you. Welcome, Philip. I'm super excited to get started on this podcasting endeavor, and I'm super excited to have you as my first guest with all of your vast experience hosting the Savvy Founder. And some interesting things about Philip to get started is I've known him for more than 10 years. He's an amazing guy who has mentored many startup companies in Orange County in California. He's served on boards of companies and as an executive on companies that I've worked on. And he is an amazing photographer, as evidenced from his pictures from around the world as a world traveler. And he always has fantastic stories to share from his amazing hikes, which are no joke. These aren't hikes that you do in a park or with your kids. These are real man hikes that take days out in absolute wilderness. So thank you for coming on, Philip. And I'm looking forward to talking about generative AI and all things technology these days.
Absolutely. Good to be here. And absolutely, Eric, I'd love to support you and all the things that you do in Orange County and beyond. So we need lots more companies to get from start to finish and navigate the changes that are coming down the pike.
Awesome. So I had kind of thought of some topics that I thought my audience would be interested in. I myself have been exploring Chat GPT and some of the newer features and apps that are available. And it's a little bit overwhelming. And so I wanted to see where you're at in your journey with generative AI, Chat GPT. I know that's a really broad topic to start out with, but hopefully we'll get into some more specifics and nuances. And I don't know what I don't know. So please tell me where you're at.
Absolutely. So ChatGPT sort of overnight seemed to jump on the stage, and it has the record for the largest number of downloads and users of any website technology ever. Just phenomenal. It was one of the technologies. It's the 20 years plus in the making. You could argue it goes back to the 50s when this crazy idea was developed, and the technology finally came to the point where, hey, it's useful. And I started watching everybody. I jumped in the bandwagon, started using it, and I just realized that there's a lot of people talking about it, but I was getting the advice secondhand. So I really decided to do what I do, and that is dig deep, right? You can't really do deep, good strategy unless you know deeply what's happening at the ground, and then you can abstract it to the strategy. And so let me share my view of why this technology is so phenomenal. First,
right.
first, I liken it to Thomas Edison and finally figuring out how to make a light bulb. He did not invent the light bulb. He figured out how to make it last, sustainable. And that's what ChatGPT, they didn't necessarily invent the original technology, but they made it last.
Okay.
But so as nice as the electric light bulb was, it wasn't until we created the electrical grid that we lit up the night sky. I think of ChatGPT just like that. Once we connect all the various tools and workflows and AI possibilities together, it will light up productivity around the world like we have never seen. So
Wow.
that's kind of what got me at I'll just say over 40, part of the discriminated, the protected class of people now, to literally dig deep. And I've even committed to writing articles, 100 articles in 50 weeks. I'm on an article. I just wrote article 23 or 24 this morning. And I became a certified developer. So we can talk all about that sort of stuff, but that gives you sort of a why I wanted to understand. And
Sure.
I can share what I've learned beyond there. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. It's amazing. I love the analogy to Edison because we always credit him as the inventor, but yeah, he didn't invent it. He just made it work. And
Yeah.
oftentimes we miss that. People have great ideas, but getting the ideas to actually affect the market or change the market is really amazing. So, um, I see you mentioned that you were into some app development or some specialized certifications. What's really going on with Chat GPT or other AI tools that are available for developers?
Yeah. Great question. First off, ChatGPT, if people, some people have used it, not used it. For those that have not, I'll just say it's a chat bot. And so I can literally type or prompt into the chat and ask it a question. And it uses all of the knowledge of the human race that has been scraped into it to come up with a good answer. So if you ask about how do I create a startup, it will give you an outline that's very cogent and that sort of stuff. Wonderful. But that's sort of that chatting. But when you start digging into it, you start hearing about the problems. When I wrote an article, what do you do when the CEO says, I want AI?
Yeah.
Or what happens when you suddenly give the entire company ChatGPT?
Yes.
And it's like giving them a calculator before a math test, and you never taught them how to use a calculator. Right?
Okay. Okay.
So a lot of companies, there's people that are very good at chatting and getting the results that they want. And then there's others use it and they like, this didn't answer my question, or the facts were wrong, and they get pissed off. And so now you have a company where there's people using it and people that are mad about it. And
Okay.
somewhere in the middle is the truth, but ultimately that failed to introduce it. And chatting is a skill. And so they figure that out. And so then the companies suddenly go out and they say, oh, this didn't work. Let's go buy a off the shelf product.
Okay.
Well, man, you can go to the AI directories thousands and thousands of companies going, I'm AI, I'm AI. I have, 90% of those companies are going to be gone in a few years, right?
Okay.
Because we're going to be wanting some other solutions that are working for us. And we're in this, the world's in this discovery phase. So and you're going to spend a lot of money as a company. So I realized that what you really need to do is go on that journey as a company to learn a little bit, like riding the bike. And so don't just rely on somebody else. The tools have come to the point where you can do your own workflow. That's what caused me to become this developer of a tool, MindStudio.ai, where you are in control of the chatting.
Okay.
And get the results that you want. So you take the best people that are the best at writing, chatting, and getting results. You build that into the workflow, and now everybody has the best chats. Nobody's held back for not knowing how to chat or knowing to do that. And so that's why I use the tool, because it can be customized for just any industry, any situation, not a generic one. And then you can add your own data and all sorts of things. So that's long-winded, a little long-winded, but gives you a flavor of why I think that kind of tool is the interim step to a long-term, and it's embeddable in whatever, you're not going to go out and replace your CRM or your big software you have now. You want something to add to it to make it better.
Okay. So very interesting. I need you to help me bridge. I think it's interesting. You're topping for an enterprise or a corporation, a CEO, providing a tool to employees, and with the idea of improving communication or productivity. I'm hearing something like you might want some training or education. How does that fit in? How do you do that when, to me, the AI bots that we're working with now are essentially just chat boxes right now, very rudimentary, but there are so many different applications that are available. Should employees, should we as individuals be exploring those tools and figuring it out, or is it something that should be from the top down, just for a cohesive strategy in a company?
Couple of questions in there. First, let's level set on the AI concept first.
Okay.
So if you're using Microsoft's Outlook, or you're using Gmail, or you're using your phone and it finishes the text for you, you start typing and it finishes it, that's a kind of AI, right? It's predicting what you're going to write. That basic capability is at the heart of generative AI. It's predicting words based on topics and project management. So I like to think of that as this is all the conversations and knowledge that we as humans have had. Any place in a company where humans have conversations, or work with information and massage it and change it or deal, that's where the chat works really, really well. Really, really well.
Wow, that's surprising. That's really surprising. Okay.
So it can augment you. So I'll give you a random example. I was asked to review somebody's grant proposal. So this is I don't know if your audience is familiar with the Small Business Innovation Research Grants. This is our federal government giving dollars to small businesses to have an innovative technology move towards commercialization. So helping scientists get their technology out of the universities and into commercial use, right?
Absolutely.
They're huge. They're monster pains. You have to find a writer and that sort of stuff. I had a scientist, he wrote his first grant, he looked at it, he did it. I literally used the technology to say, here's the instructions from the NIH, National Institutes of Health, about what is an SBIR. Here's what the person wrote. Please provide feedback on how to make this a very good introduction to his grant.
Okay.
Right? Well, as most scientists do, they describe their technology in great detail.
Okay.
And they missed the complete, and the chat, the AI realized they didn't talk about innovation. And it actually gave him, here's the language you might try to rephrase your grant.
Okay.
That took all of 30 minutes to accomplish, right? The hardest part was finding the specific place on the website where the information was located.
Okay.
Right? So that's a human. Like, I could have been a reviewer. I could have read the website. I could have served as a copy editor and given feedback. That's where the AI fits, because it's a human kind of activity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So the computer and the AI is still in its infancy in a way, except it has amazing talents, but it still needs a very hands-on direction.
Absolutely. You wouldn't hire an intern to run your marketing program for your company. Right?
Yeah.
Some people might, if just let it rip. But most people would hire the intern, look at it, and certainly overview, take a review of what's going to go out and test and make sure it's right. And that's what people should do with anything that's that chatting capability. That's where the workflow comes in, because the workflow can be built to create some quality to ensure that's at least a 2-year person with 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience. You can build the experience into the model. Chat by itself, I think it produces answers like an intern if the person doesn't know any better.
Okay. Well, I don't know what other topics, but I'm very interested in this, and what kind of practical education, or how much education is available currently, or is it just it sounds like experience, like most things, is you on the job training. You've just got to get in there and get dirty with it, or what can people do to speed up the process of understanding and working with these tools?
So, yes, there are lots with this huge shot heard around the world. There are people scrambling, everything you can imagine. It's Wild West. You can go on Udemy or Coursera, and there's people offering $1,000 for an all-inclusive prompt engineering program, and I was just blown away by the prices they were charging. And and realistically, the universities have open class stuffs. You can learn a lot. It's back to you as a person, right? What are you, like a little kid? Do you like learning stuff? Or then you'll be the early adopters, and you'll be helping the company. You'll be trying it and figuring it out, and you'll be wanting to figure out how to teach other people to use it. That's kind of how I think. Back to companies, right?
Okay.
Find your enthusiast, give them the tools, help them teach other people, because it's going to be pointless. I think this is a Philip opinion. Like,
Okay.
I'm not going to send everybody to school for $1,000 class on AI, on a chatbot, because it's a waste. Some of those people don't even want to be there. That's not important to them. It's not relevant to what they do. They don't want to figure it out. They want somebody to figure it out for them. So match your learning to your own personal style. match the learning of the company to the company's organizational behavior. Don't just go on a YouTube, Netflix, YouTube binge watch unless you like that.
Okay, that's real practical advice. I want to circle back to this. I want to keep moving on, but I am going to have a question about the intersection of this digital technology and the humanities, of which I was not a great student of the humanities, but what I'm hearing from you is a liberal arts education or an interest and curiosity in the world and society um, lends itself to a person in their strategy to learn and make use of AI. It's grammar, literature, how to ask questions, how to reformulate questions to adapt and see what kind of responses.
Yeah, somebody with a humanities, critical thinking skills. You as a lawyer with critical thinking skills and legit, well reasoned to do things. You do not need to be a programmer. The computers forced us to learn, if this, then that, write these weird little codes to get boxes. The chats are serving as this interface, and there's a huge frenzy of new sites that create websites for you, create logos for you, and you just create pictures with words.
Yeah.
So it's words telling the what would have been a programmer what to do. The words are telling the computer what we want, and so absolutely. But the critical thinking skills, you can't why hire the intern and just let them loose? You still have to be critical thinking and go, maybe I should check. So, basic, I say common sense, but sometimes the new shiny technology causes people to forget. They kind of, and so my advice to people is to go back to what you already know. Play with the technology and ask yourself, how's it like what I know and how's it not like what I know, and hang that on your own knowledge tree, and then you'll never forget.
So, from the CEO and an investment and a return on investment perspective, are these AI tools expensive? Can they be expensive? Are they expensive if they end up wasting your employees' time, energy, resources? And yeah, how much of an investment is needed from a Chat GPT or an AI?
So this is where there's a lot of confusion created in the internet right now, because you hear about the NVIDIAs, the Metas with the Llama, Anthropic with the cloud, their model, Gemini, Google's Gemini, OpenAI with their Chat GPT. So those companies are making the models and they're spending billions, right?
Okay.
Billions, right, to create this stuff. And and some of it's open source, so it's a race to build the most powerful, all-purpose tool. And then to use the tool, they're charging $20. ChatGPT is charging $20 a month for a user, right?
That seems kind of nominal.
So
Okay.
the physical use of the cost of the computing power is tiny.
Okay.
Where the cost is back to the liberal arts and what do you want to use it for? How do you want to use it? So if you're a company that's thoughtful about how you're going to use it, and you're thoughtful that I need to train people, I'm not going to get immediate return, I'm going to teach them and put them out, fantastic. You'll absolutely get your ROI, and you'll find places that you didn't even think. That's the good. That's sort of the good side of things. I also think about, though, it's a tool that can be used to augment and enhance our human creativity and speed up the drudgery, get rid of some of the drudgery so we can do the thinking and the creative parts easier.
Sure.
Right. But in some situations, companies are going, great, let me get rid of people. And I like to call out IBM as one of the worst, because they took 700 people and replaced them with chat and ended up with 50 people, a 90% reduction in people. Right.
Okay.
So I think that's a bad corporate, a world citizen, they could have done so much more to improve productivity for the world, but instead, they're going for the quick win and quick stock boost on the bottom line. So
Okay.
I think, but the flip side to that is the startups, you can now get 10 times the productivity for 1/10 the cost, 100x productivity gains.
Okay.
So you can compete with companies much bigger than you by learning how to automate these processes. You don't have to, you've got a 100-person company and you want to act like a 500-person company. Great. Learn how to use the tools.
Do you, without disclosing anything or any clients, do you have any anecdotal stories of seeing these productivity improvements, or any clients in the space?
Yeah. So most clients are just getting used to doing that with say blog posting or sales and sales collateral and customizing it and chat stuffs. And there's lots of case studies out there on the internet where, a small company has suddenly been able to post content in all of the social media, not just one. Like before, they could maybe only post in Facebook, and now they're able to post everywhere. Or it used to take 20 hours to do, we're doing podcasts, and now there's tools out there that cut out the ums and ahs of podcasts. This podcast could be translated into a foreign language, right?
Wow.
We could take the English and the AI can immediately convert it. Right. Looking, in fact, I was playing with a technology this morning that I'm going to put on my website. I can create a human avatar.
Okay.
I type in the text and a human avatar speaks it with emotions and says, I'm glad you came to my website. The world is changing really fast. You're probably being held behind. Come give me a call, right? And the AI is computer generated. All I did was type and it produces that thing. That gives me, as a small company, tremendous power.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right. Yeah. So to me, the biggest of the mid-sized companies that are kind of starting to slow down in their creativity, I think they should be worried. The family offices, the second and third and fourth generation companies that have the family rallying around the business and being central and all the ideas coming from the family and the connections, they should be scared. And they really need help figuring out how to change and embrace the new. Absolutely.
Wow. That's a really important market and an area of business I really hadn't thought of. And I think of fast food, automation, robots, self-driving cars. These technologies are evolving and, yes, replacing lower level workers, replacing, honestly, lawyers and accountants. I believe that there are AI technologies that are very quickly becoming better than lawyers, and assuming that the user is using some critical thinking and asking the right questions. That seems to be the biggest limiting factor on the technology and those evolving in specific fields.
Yeah.
So you're waving your hands. This is a tremendous flag. Hey, middle market companies, if you're in the $100 million revenue, plus or minus, your innovation scale, the way you're protecting your distribution, your market, will be impacted by AI and smaller, leaner companies. Should these, I'm going to call them middle market companies for lack of a better term, should they be considering developing AI on their own, incorporating it organically, or are there services out there that they could acquire or bring in-house?
Yeah, great question. So first, I'd say here's a couple of steps that they should do. The first thing they should do is really check their own attitudes around technology change, right?
Okay.
Right. And what I mean by that, if there's some people that wait for technology, we all saw the iPhone come out and the smartphone, and there's people we knew that had a flip phone way after the smartphone came out. And you're like, some closely held companies have their own attitudes to how fast they adopt technology.
Okay.
And so when they're second and third generation, they recall when we used to go to the store to buy shrink wrap software, right? And they recall I was in control of how fast I bought software.
Okay.
And now I have software as a service and I'm forced to pay monthly, and they changes it. But guess what? AI came on the scene and it just put the world into hyper speed. So if you're kind of, going to wait, you're going to be passed by. And I do mean that. You are passed by. The best analogy I use, imagine going to the gym and to go on the running machine. In the past, you could control the speed.
Yeah.
Then software as a service came along. You no longer could control the speed, and you could keep up with it. Now, somebody with a big finger called AI has pushed the fast button on the treadmill, and you either speed up or fall off.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. Check your attitude around technology and technology options.
Wow.
Right?
This is like a meteor causing a mass extinction event, is what I'm hearing from you.
I believe that to be true. That's why I kind of been in the small business startups, because I think middle America, small businesses are the backbone of America, backbone of the world, and they really do need to not just believe Google and the Facebook, Amazon is the future.
Just to add some emphasis to this and not downplay it. This we're really looking at something that could cause a mass extinction for lots of businesses if they're not thinking about this and changing their attitudes now.
Absolutely. And it's a great opportunity for all the Zoomers that are going, I'm a 3-person company, and a 3-person company suddenly competing with a 30-person company. They're competing with a 40-person company. So this is the thing that people have to understand about the technology. And these are all, this ChatGPT is just the surface of all the changes. The AI is being used for material sciences, it's being used for vaccines and DNA and chemistry and all sorts of things. It's what you can see. So back to companies check their attitude around technology. Number 2, remember that how you do change in a company. Go back to basics, change 101.
Okay.
Don't change all your plans. You already have a strategy. Learn about what it can and can't do, adopt it a little bit. If you're bringing in something new, test it out, make sure people are comfortable with it, use it. Now you got to do it a little faster than you did in the past, but you still have to do that part. Once you kind of get a sort of people comfortable, Now you can really dig into, now you have enough knowledge to go, what can my strategy be?
Okay.
Right? You can't make a strategy if you don't know what the tool can do. And you need to learning part before you can really redo your strategy.
Great. I love that. So that's, on us. We need to refocus, re-examine ourselves in light of this technology and see how can we leverage it and, really look at ourselves, because we're going to be a big limiting factor.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where, in the legal profession where, if I want to open a corporation and have, a holding company and 2 or 3 companies and all the paper, the AI knows how to fill in all the forms from all the states.
Yeah.
And they're already building those tools to push button launch a stuff. Which country? Oh man, I cannot remember.
Okay.
But there's a country that's allowing AIs to incorporate.
Okay.
So, and obviously that's for, small country. I got to look it up. I'll have to remember later.
Okay. I'll make a note. I'm interested in that. So, you made reference to Gemini and Meta, and that there's different Chat GPT,
Yeah.
artificial AI, and we're moving towards artificial general intelligence. So I'm curious, what are the main, I don't know, the competitors that are commercially available, reasonable? Is there an Excel spreadsheet that people can look up, and Google, look for information about, to compare and contrast what these various AI strengths and weaknesses are? Is that important?
Segues to a great question, right? So hence why I picked Mind Studio as the workflow application.
All
So
right.
the basic chatting, like here's my create a salesperson's persona from this profile, right? That might be by prompt.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my general instruction, right?
yes.
Now, that tool allows me to use any of the big models and just with a click change it. So if a new model comes out, they update it and I can change the tool, but I didn't have to change my prompt, right? I just get a better answer. Or if one of the companies is having a cyber attack or too busy in capacity, it says busy, come back later. The tool does automatic failover.
Awesome.
So you can have the best of all worlds by using a tool that's focused on building the workflows, rather than going to the companies that are trying to be, build the models and be all things to everybody, because
So wait a second, let me analogize this. So this would be like your house is grid tied to electricity, but you've got some solar, you've got a generator backup, and these AI services, being Meta, they are the energy sources, and so you could build your homestead, your structure, your business with very specific tools that are supported by the AI energy, and there's redundancy built in. If something fails for whatever internet bandwidth,
I like that analogy. Imagine these 4 companies are all building a power plant, and they're all in a race to build the best power plant. Rather than you being locked into one, you just, put a transformer at your house, you build use a workflow tool, and now you choose whoever's the best. You don't have to worry about it. And they only charge by compute usage. They don't charge, so they can choose, oh, this is my latest model, so I'm going to charge a little more for this. This is my older model, so I'm charging less. And you can choose how to spend what you want to spend. Let me put that into practical terms.
So you're referring to workflows, and I think I understand it at a very basic level. The
Mhm.
workflows are the kind of automated processes that are really tailored to your business that could help you do client intake, develop some processes, facilitate organizational. I don't know whether it's
Yeah,
inventory management. Help me out.
exactly. So, um, for a workflow, think of it as both the if I had a conversation with a chat and it lasted many times of typing back and forth, that could be a component of a workflow. But what do I want to do with it, right? So I might say here, one common thing is sales crafting custom responses to sales objections.
Okay.
So perhaps I'm a company and I have the recordings or interview notes of all my past customers, and I have this. The Chat GPT type technology can very quickly go through that and say, this person was objecting to price. This person was objecting to the features, and sort them. Now you could take that and say, oh, 50% were price. Now marketing and sales can craft the objection overcomes, right? This is why we're better value. And so that's a repetitive task, but
Awesome.
it's tedious, right? It's tedious to read these documents and summarize them. The AIs are easily summarize documents. Yesterday, somebody was asking, well, can it take this and translate it to French? And I go, great. What's the biggest French newspaper? I took the article in French, I put it into English, and it translated it beautifully, better. She goes, that's right. And so, so the world, you don't have, the world's languages are available to you. And then I said, turn this into Indonesian, and it translated immediately Indonesian, all in the same chat.
Wow.
Right? And that's for pennies.
Okay.
I didn't have to have a translation service. I didn't have to do that. So think of all the times where you need translation and you don't need bulletproof translation. Like if you're, for those that might be doing Food and Drug Administration, where they're still in the risk averse world and everything has to be checked and cross-checked.
Patent application.
Wait until the FDA says okay before you go change the process.
Okay. Sure. But wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The speed is, again, the speed was so fantastic. I said I couldn't just sit back and sit on a beach and drink margaritas.
Okay. Let's see, from even startup companies, and we see this this meteor. NASA's alerted us. There's a meteor. It's coming. It's going to cause this mass extinction. And I've decided, you know what? I've been comfortable where I'm at in my business. We're generating revenue, but gosh, I don't know. Somebody could improve in my area, and I don't want to get wiped out. So I am going to reach out and try to augment my business, and improve my business by using AI. What are kind of some practical steps? Or we've talked about looking and reflecting at ourselves and thinking about, am I a conscientious person? How do I feel about AI? Now that we've understood AI is here, it's coming fast, and we kind of got to adapt, for lack of a better word. What are some maybe, are they practical steps or some theoretic steps?
Yeah, no, there's some practical steps. The first that I do say is do sample a bunch of the demos from different companies and different places, all the sales demos saying that you can do this, you can do that, because you need to go through the all you can eat buffet and sample a bunch of things to see what sparks your situation for your business. Now, you got to know what's available, right? If you
Okay.
don't know what's available, or you need to hire somebody that knows what's available to help you. So,
Okay.
but I suggest if you look a little bit yourself or within your company, when it's done yourself, even with guidance, like if I come into companies, I'll give them homework to go do that stuff, because then they internalize it. It's
Sure.
now part of their journey, and I can speed their journey. That's really important. Once they kind of do that, then it's back to basics. What is my workflow? Let's look at like if it's a tactical thing. I created the TEAR model, TEAR. What are you going to do? What types of projects can you do? Are you doing a transformative project? Are you doing a project just assists you with something? Are you doing a project that enhances what you do? Or are you doing a project that revolutionizes your work, right? That's the hardest to do. So I've got a 2x2 matrix, one of my articles. So you can start usually with the assist part, right? Where in my business do I have workflows, things that people are doing all the time, answering questions on the internet, chatting, answering objections, writing sales proposals, any number of things, writing articles, chatbots are phenomenal because they go on the internet. And so those things, really easy to do, those kinds of assistance things. So you just start. Did I answer your question for you? Because I wanted to give you a practical framework.
Yeah. I don't want to even try to restate it. There are practical steps. Getting comfortable yourself, reaching out to people, doing a TEAR analysis, and looking for resources. Now, I'm sure people like you are available. I want to give you a plug in a minute, but I got a question, a selfish question. In working with AI, most people in my space, we work with Microsoft Office, Word. We've got some databases. We work with Outlook, email, things like that. In my experience with AI is primarily in the chat boxes. Are there APIs, tools, or are there already AI that know what Microsoft Office is and interface and can help you output information into a usable form? Or is that something that you have to develop?
So that's a great question. So that's where with Microsoft's sort of purchase of OpenAI and the creation of Bard, the Bard and their Copilot is being integrated into many of the Microsoft tools by simply having the Microsoft Office. You're starting to see the business version of it. You're starting to see some of those tools come in.
Okay.
So those tools. So if you have those tools, you have them available to you. But you've got to remember, Microsoft's a tool manufacturer, right? They produce a word processing program.
Yes.
Right. They don't, in your case, they don't produce a legal brief writing program.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or a legal brief filing program. Right. So that's maybe a repetitive task that you do all the time. And so you want not only the AI to produce maybe the outline stuff, you then review it, you do the edit, and you then approve that sort of stuff. And you probably, depending on the I'd say depending on your jurisdiction, you've got to see whether or not the courts would even allow that to occur, right? There's some courts that are saying zero usage. You can use the AI for your own discovery, summarizing documents, but you can't use AI to produce documents, right?
Oh, yeah. The first lawyers have already been disbarred, and I think even attorneys that are quite famous in the mainstream media have been hit by submitting briefs where they used artificial intelligence to generate citations, which it turned out to be the AI generated fake case law to support their position, and they've already been busted and disbarred. So, yeah, it's a cat and a mouse game.
Yeah, it is. And that brings up the thing. That's probably where people are most dismissive of the generative AI,
Okay.
and that is on the perfection of facts.
Okay.
If I just walked up to a random human and asked them to start quoting the specific URL to a case law with all the numbers and everything, the likelihood of a person getting it perfectly right, probably not good.
Yeah.
Right. So if a human probably is getting a very detailed fact wrong, that AI will likely get it wrong. So, but it says 27%. You can go look up the 27% and say, oh, it's actually 29%. Put it in, and everything else stays perfectly good.
Great.
Right.
So I'm not sure how I wrap up a podcast. I haven't done this before, but can you tell me how people can get in touch with you? I'm sure we'll get some sort of a transcript and get some ways for the people to get in touch with you. But if you can quickly give me a contact information or a plug.
Sure, absolutely. So first off, you can see my name on screen, Philip Topham. So you can go to LinkedIn, Philip Topham. There's only one in California. There's only one called The Savvy Founder. You can find me there, text me, LinkedIn, connect with me. There's the booking link on there as well. So it's, savvyfounder.youcanbook.me. Always do a no-cost advisory to, somebody's faced with what they're trying to do with AI. I always help them out with that.
Right.
Yeah, those are probably the easiest ways. And then I'm publishing all of my articles on the website, and that is thesavvyfounder.com.
Okay.
And love to hear from you. You got a question? Awesome. I'll write an article about it.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Philip. This was educational for me, and I appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to have a follow-up in a few months and see what kind of companies have had mass extinction events.
It's going to be a wild ride. Absolutely. It's only been a year since ChatGPT, really.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes, where we'll cover topics ranging from business formation and fundraising to contracts and compliance. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of Business Problem Solvers. Business Problem Solvers podcast is proudly brought to you by Eric B. Alspaugh, APC, providing comprehensive legal solutions for startups and entrepreneurs. Visit our website at www.alspaughlaw.com to learn more. Disclaimer: the information provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. Consult with a qualified attorney or legal advisor to address your specific legal needs.